A beautiful balance of form and function, modern military aircraft such as this F-35 are at the leading edge of aviation technology. Like the famous fighters of the Navy, Marines, and Air Force that have come before it, however, constant improvements in adversarial technology will one day render the F-35 obsolete. When this happens, when a military fighter, bomber, trainer, transport, or helicopter reaches the end of its useful life, it is sent to the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group, AMARG, better known as the Boneyard at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona, where each of these aircraft are given a new purpose. Many will simply be cut up, sold for scrap, and recycled into things like razor blades. Others will resume military service under the flag of a new nation as a very effective and low-cost option for our State Department-approved allies under a foreign military sales program. As we will see, some airplanes held at AMARG are resold, but others exist solely to supply obsolete or out-of-production parts to the remaining fleet, keeping them viable to national defense strategies for years beyond production line shutdowns. Some will take on a second career in civilian life, while others will serve as museum pieces and static displays, protecting and preserving the history and heritage of military aviation for future generations. In 2011, I had the opportunity to fly this aircraft, now at the Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona, to the Boneyard. This footage is from a private aircrew-only tour we were given by the Navy chief after delivering our aircraft. This footage was never intended for anything other than personal use, so there are places where the audio and sometimes video is augmented by me filling in the gaps along the tour. I hope you enjoy.
Reduced their Air Force fighters with over 300 fighters and attack aircraft, the F-15s, the F-16. And you see we have a small little area here, and I'll show you the overflow.
Wow. I see so many of them are air guard.
Yes.
Airframes.
The deal with the F-16 from the Lieutenant Colonel here is they're going to use some of them for foreign military sales, partially, and then some of them are going to get turned into drones. The F-4 Phantom is going to go away from the drones, and the new drone will be the F-16.
A lot of C-130s.
For fuel systems and all that, as long as the aircraft is in good working condition when it comes in and lands, then it's going to be in a good working condition. We've changed minor components and then did our engine test runs, and it flew out August.
Wow.
Now there was two of them that got regenerated. One took a little bit longer than the other because it had holes in the fuel cells and things of that nature. It was not the ideal candidate in working condition. Here is our engine can yard. We have engines that are getting pulled and going to get shipped out. Some aircraft have their engines in them. C&O hold war reserve can be activated and must be maintained in 1,000 preservation, and it gets re-preserved every 4 years and gets looked at once a year for its condition. C&O Section 2 is our war reserve stricken from the fleet. Could be reactivated, moved up to Section 1 and reactivated, or downgraded to Section 3, which is our foreign military sales. Section 4 is foreign our national museum area, designated aircraft. Section 5 is parts reclamation, and then Section 6 is for disposal aircraft. We have 30 F-18s that are going to be reactivated within the next 4 years. We're going to reactivate 12 of them starting October of this year. We're going to do 2 a month, or 2 per quarter, until we can get it down pat.
Looks like it's a soft bird. All the pumpy radar and everything.
Yeah. The Army Tomahawk is off to the left there. S2, one of the original cods. Like the C1 right there. C-131.
You're good, I'm not good.
Aircraft that have any significant history has been gobbled up by museums. But we do still have one or two out here. Off to the left here is our newest member of Display Row.
If you don't want to.
She's doing Display Row
I was
in
wondering for this getting back and forth
October
shots.
last year. And that's the Blue Angel.
I've seen a lot of those.
Here and there.
My dad worked on
Okay.
those. The A7, of course, there. The Man-Eater.
The Man-Eater.
Oh, this static display, permanently around.
I like that. There, I gotta zoom in on that.
Getting ready to do a little off-roading. There. One of the aircraft that we have out here with some history behind it.
The historic aircraft chief mentioned is this Navy LC-130 Foxtrot, bureau number 148321. It crashed upon takeoff in Antarctica in early December 1971 when two jet-assisted takeoff, or JATO bottles, separated from the aircraft at about 50 feet, damaging an engine and propeller. The crew was unharmed, but the aircraft became buried in the Antarctic landscape for almost 2 decades.
Navy refused to sell it, and then after 10 years of sitting in the ice, went down there, pulled it out. The ice being so cold down there.
The temperatures in Antarctica were so cold that they actually preserved this aircraft, allowing the Navy to send a crew down to dig it out and fly it home after 17 years. The aircraft was actually able to go back onto the schedule for a number of years and have a whole second life, thus the name Phoenix. While the cold may have been good for this aircraft, it really only gives me one thought. Antarctica, no thanks. I will watch it on TV.
Wiley. All you need is Roadrunner to come running by. Our first interceptor. F8, F-16, B-57 there.
It's a beast.
Now, AMARG has Vietnam aircraft at present. Most of our older aircraft, World War II stuff, is already gobbled up by museums or already been destroyed. The F-111s, EF, and the regular model, we have all of them now. We kept them around because Australia was the only country that flew them. Now Australia is out. We have B-52s that have to be permanently cut and placed due to the START Treaty.
Oh, that makes sense.
And we get the Russian satellites that fly over every 6 months, and then they once every 2 to 3 years they'll send an inspection team over to come out and do a visual inspection. Last year we actually had a team permanently stationed here because they were flying in the B-1s. Here we have a couple of them just hitting here. There's your mobile spray-lat crew. Here in the United States of America was the actual Admiral's bird over in Hawaii. They placed it there so it would fly dignitaries Hawaii to the foreign countries and back instead of flying from DC out. F-4 Phantom here. The Air Force refuses to give it to any museum. The story goes that the F-4s were here originally at DM, and that's why they don't want to cough it up. Because it's the proud tradition of the Air Force right here at the Davis-Monthan base, and it had to be preserved.
This is actually an F-4 painted to look like the F-4 that Captain Steve Ritchie flew in Vietnam. Notice the 5 stars that made him an ace. There'll be more on this one later.
Here is actually the good spot. Right now, we haven't started any parts reclamation on any of the helicopters. All the F models that come in are here for foreign military sales. And we have some Romeos that are in Section 1. Actually, y'all call them Bromeos.
Yeah.
They were the B/R models.
Oh.
There's a Stinger aircraft right there.
That's like the that's like the original Romeos right there.
Tell you what, that is a haul to bring those things out from Mayport.
Yeah, it's a 3-day flight. They fly over to Louisiana, they fly up to Texas, El Paso, and then they transit it from El Paso into us. As you see sticking out your windows right there is the little breathing vents that allow the aircraft to breathe.
How do you guys get the 51 birds back?
C5. So you see your next spot right there?
Got intercepted by a Colombian 1837 once. It was pretty funny. Poor little guy just couldn't get behind us. Come on, let's take him on. Let's take him on.
I got a buddy who went to Vance for primary, so this is what he had.
Yep, here's the S3 Heaven. We have all but 6 of them. There's still 6 over in Point McCoop.
Really?
Our test facility over at VX30.
Okay.
The S3s are being screened by GSA. There's talk for Homeland Security to come in. Fire services would like them because they can tote the fire retardant.
They use S2s now. Yeah.
The downside of that is they would actually buy 12 of them to keep up 6 because the parts are obsolete. And if you look at the tail fin right in the back corner right there, it has a little bird with a screw going through it with the NG on it. The little screw birds.
Yep.
They have 2 CAG birds or skipper's birds right here with the tail folded over with the screw going through him. As you get down here to the last bird that come in, he's actually holding the screw.
Yep.
Oh.
They had a little bit of humor. They got tired of being screwed.
Have it back.
That is hilarious.
There it is.
And the Blue Fox right here beside him was a squadron that President Bush flew in on board the Abraham Lincoln for mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That actual aircraft is down in Pensacola. Now, as I said, AMARG is 2,600 acres. It's enclosed with 12 miles of chain link fence. We pull parts, we regenerate aircraft, and restore aircraft. We do a lot of foreign military sales that come out here. California or to South Carolina. And there it's transported on the back of to a ship and shipped over somewhere.
So why aren't they allowed to fly it out?
Government will not allow it. The only ones that we've had fly in is the Canadians. Sure, some of the countries would like to fly.
Yeah. You can see some stuff on the way.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them make sense because it's too far away for the aircraft to get there. So.
Now we're going to show you a showbird for a movie called Flight of the Intruder. As we're going along here in the A6s, the A6s are still around helping support the fleet of the EA-6Bs for Navy and Marine Corps. If you see the parts missing is where we come in and rob parts off the aircraft. The boxes that sit behind the aircraft is where the parts that we took off to get to the part that we're actually looking for. We don't put the parts back together or put the aircraft back together when it's all said and done. So we just build containers to store the parts in. And when we go to dispose of the aircraft, we'll dispose of the parts inside the box also. Now our movie star for Flight of the Intruder is right here in front of us. The CAG bird there, still painted up with the Japan-based logo there. We actually had another movie star for an H3 for the movie Apollo 13. And it just recently transferred out of here. It had NASA still written on the side of it, painted up, all white.
I don't think I'd have an issue slapping some blades back on one of those helos over there. But I'd have second thoughts about climbing one of these.
Yeah, they look pretty rough.
No.
Fiberglass delaminating.
Yeah.
You know, rusting through. It's all right.
Here's the overflow area for the F-15s and F-16s. There's a few A-10s that we have here. As you see, they actually had to go into this F-16 and cut into it, so now they're reapplying the spray lat to it. As you see, there's going to be rows of tubes. Nose to nose.
Can't imagine what foreign countries must think when they come here and they just see like rows of F-16s just sitting here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, yeah, this is just the obsolete portion of our Air Force. Yeah.
Well, we hang on to the T-2s because Greece is the only country that flies them. We have two still active in the Navy fleet. They're up here in Pax River. They're the chase plane for the EPA. As we come into the A4s here, you're going to see the red markings with the letter D's on them and empty. This is on the aircraft that we're certifying for disposal. It's a process to ensure that all the hazardous material and hazmat is out of them. So the spray lat material is very bad. It doesn't mix well. We did more damage when we tried to take it off of an F-18 on our first go around. So we had to buy covers for the F-18s. These are the ones that I'm going to reactivate. I'll be overseeing the reactivation process for. Now here's our H2s and H3 area.
None of y'all were H3 pilots, were you?
But the brown stuff you see leaking out is nothing more than the 1010 oil, and it's from the shrinking and swelling of your seals. Now the State Department loves these Hueys.
Yep.
They go great for the LISO guys, local law enforcement.
Multi-purpose,
Yeah,
everything.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, that's the. In fact, I worked on one of those. I crushed the tail. They're tail heavy. You don't want to push them too hard.
Yeah.
My brakes wasn't working too well. On
There's a K-Hawk. Actually, it's just the
Customs.
customs guy. You look in front of us, there's our JBD. That's our engine test run for the F-Force or any of the jet engine. Hammermill sells it off at once for metals. They have different magnets to attract the different types of metals. They'll separate it and then sell it off. That's how the Hammermill makes their money.
These next few moments are just us crawling through a gondola of a Navy blimp that was being stored there.
San Diego, it'd be a friggin' rust bucket. If you notice, landing gear is one of the first things that come off the aircraft. High time components and things of that nature.
I know him. He's a fella. You know, I'm not gonna say we're buds. That's for damn sure.
This is the first Bravo that we got in, and we performed the startup list on this aircraft. Now it's just mainly a quote out here. And as Bravos start becoming hawks, and we start pilfering parts off of them, we'll start moving them over here. Here's the remaining of the F-14s. What you see here is destined for a museum along the way, all except for the one that's coming up without landing gear here on the nose, and that is tied up in world court litigation. It actually belongs to Iran, but we tied it up in court litigation so they can't get it. Yep. That can tow a heck of a payload and fly forever. Our F-18s that we are using for parts reclamation. Some have wings, some have inner wings with the outer wings removed, some have landing gear, some of them don't. You can see what the demands of the fleet were for quite a while there. Starting to store the C5s out here. That's like getting in. We're supposed to get 13 in this year. We got 4 of them actually so far. The 46s, there's no life. The State Department's the only one that wants them. I don't think any of the foreign militaries want them. But we do have one that was the last one to fly in and pick up the Marine in Vietnam. And they defy all laws. Right here, number 12 was the one that flew in.
So according to Chief, this helicopter right here is the last aircraft out of Vietnam. And this is how it appeared in 2011. I don't know what the final disposition is. I'm still doing some research into it, and I will get back to you with a later video on it.
Here's our only 2 concrete slabs, and we use them for the disassembly of a P3, our wing removals. Prior to last year, before we poured the concrete slab, we'd actually, for disassemble or removing wings, it would take us 6 to 9 months, because you can jack the wing in the morning and lower it down at night. We couldn't leave aircraft on jacks in the desert overnight. So now with the concrete slab, we're able to leave them moduled up overnight. And then we also applied the movable shelter so that the workers inside the fuel cell disassembling the wings there to work longer periods. According to the lieutenant colonel there, his goal is to build this up to employ about 3,000 folks, but he's doing it one step at a time. He's going to put the facilities in place before he gets all his hires.
I apologize for the quality of this photo. I just wanted to show you that there were a couple of Janet aircraft down at the end of the road there.
It's kind of crazy, you know, you think about what it costs to procure an aircraft. And we got to pay another 30 grand to get rid of one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. And I'll have some more videos out just as soon as I can get them put together. All right, thank you.